Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. It's been a while since I made a video. I've been on somewhat of a hiatus. There's a lot of reasons, no excuses, but I'm happy to be back with you today. In this video, we're going to cover a lot of the topics that are probably already on your mind, but others that will require some thinking, some critical thinking. This is our most abundant resource, but for whatever reason, we've turned this over to others, and I want to show you how you can just think through all of this and secure your future. So these are the topics I'll be discussing today. Stock market highs. How is this happening in a world where everything seems to be going wrong? How is the market at all-time highs? And what happens when the Fed tapers or stops funding the bond and securities market? Inflation. How will we pay for the necessities of life when we see things like gasoline, food, lumber, the prices skyrocketing? Now, if you've listened to me for a while, you know that rising prices are just the result of printing money, inflation. So when they inflate the money supply, the result seems to be higher prices. So we'll talk about inflation and what you can do. Taxes. There's federal, state, local, and estate taxes that we have to be concerned about. And with the Democrats doubling down on this SALT ruling, as they call it, what impact will that have on your financial future? Government spending. Now that the pandemic appears to be tapering off, what will the next crisis be? What is it that government can solve that others can't? Uncertainty. All of these things are just adding fuel to the fire. And there's a non-stop media blitz to help you reimagine your future. So stay with me and I'll share my perspective with you on legacy money.
My mission is simple, to help you protect your family and keep more of your money. I'm here to help level the playing field for families and those who seek the truth. There's always a new way to make money, but at the end of the day, it's your family's security and your legacy that matter. And I promise to help you protect what's really important to you. Legacy money starts now.
Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about the stock market. Now, this may seem like a good thing that the markets are at all-time highs. Let's take a look at these graphics. If you've got money in the market, congratulations, you've probably done well this year. But what does the future hold? Many economists say we're in a bubble and that a crash is imminent. The question is, what will happen to your assets, to your money that is vested in these markets if that happens? Since the pandemic began, the Federal Reserve has been purchasing assets, stocks, and bonds to the tune of $120 billion every single month. Now, before the pandemic began, this was known as quantitative easing, and they were spending about $80 billion a month. The question is, why is the Federal Reserve, which are not federal, why are they purchasing assets? And how are they purchasing assets? We just have to think this through a little bit. Where does the Federal Reserve get money? Who are they? And I'd invite you to do a little research on the Federal Reserve and just try to understand how it works and the impact that this has. Just this past week, the Fed announced that they would taper their buying program. Now, what will happen when they stop purchasing $120 billion every single month? What's going to happen to the market? So far, this news of tapering hasn't hurt things a bit. As a matter of fact, as I just said, the markets are at all-time highs. Whew. How could this even be when fewer people are working and inflation is running rampant? The truth is, nobody really knows. It's all speculation. It's kind of like when Elon Musk, if you don't know, the founder and chief over there at Tesla, makes a tweet and speculates on Bitcoin, and the stock goes crazy, up or down. It's all speculation. The only time a stock price really matters is when you buy, sell, or trade. So while it may look like you've gained or made money on paper, the only time it really matters is when you sell or realize that gain. Now, I know there's a lot of crazy talk with Congress about whether or not they will tax unrealized gains, which could be even worse if this happens. But again, just realize that you haven't made this money until you sell. And then, of course, when you sell the stock, what do you have to do? Well, you have to pay taxes on the profits. As we save and prepare for the future, we have to ask ourselves, is the market a safe place to park our money? Could we stand to lose 10, 20, 30, or even 100% of our money? Maybe when we're young, but as we get older and near retirement, if that's your goal, these things should be of concern. The risk only increase as we get older. And of course, we have more riding on the outcome. So while the market's futures are uncertain, there's probably an even more pressing concern, and that will be the taxes on our investments. What will taxes be when we retire or when we distribute the money? Meaning, these plans have not yet been taxed. The problem is most people's savings are in government qualified plans, i.e. 401ks, IRAs, SEP, 403bs, and the like. These are government plans controlled by the government, the IRS. So they make the rules, they can change the rules. So what the tax calculation will be when we distribute this money is uncertain. Knowing what you do about how the government manages and spends money, do you feel comfortable knowing that your money is in a government plan? Most people say no to that question, yet their entire financial future is locked up inside these government plans. Inflation. The cost of goods are going up, or at least that's how it appears. Because of the $120 billion per month that I discussed earlier that's being pumped into the financial system, our dollars are being depreciated. The value of our money is going down. Meaning this fiat money has no basis. In other words, ordinary Americans are seeing their dollars devalued right before their eyes. There's a financial rule you may have heard of or may have learned in the past. It's called the Rule of 72. Now, most of us look at it with investing. So what the rule states is if you are earning a return on your investment, let's say it's 6%, you divide that into 72. The corresponding answer, 12 in this case, would be the number of years that it takes for your money to double. With inflation, the numbers work the same. So we've already been told that inflation is 5.4%, I believe, this year so far. And of course, that's the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. So many things aren't calculated in that number. We know gasoline, lumber, food prices have gone up much more than that, 10, 20, 30% in some cases. But let's just use that same number 6 that we did earlier. So what that means is, if inflation is 6%, then in 12 years, it will cost us double to live the same lifestyle on the same amount of money that we have today. Think about that. If your family is earning $100,000 today, in 12 short years, you'll need $200,000 to leave the same lifestyle that you have today. And of course, if you're earning more money, income, that means that you'll pay more in income taxes. You see, taxes and inflation are closely related. You see, these are the means by which the government uses to extract money from citizens, taxpayers, you and I. And while taxes have always been looked upon as something that most people think they can do nothing about, I believe that most people are having an awakening with all of the recent news about taxes and inflation. If your fortune and your income has increased, you probably felt this pinch. And if you're saving money in a qualified plan, a government IRA, 401k, 403b, SEP, or the like, you're going to feel it during retirement as well. The fallacy has always been we're going to need less money when we retire because our expenses will be less, our house will be paid for, our children will be grown. Well, if you follow that logic, then you're going to lose those tax deductions of your mortgage and your children, first of all. But also, you're probably saying you're going to be poor because you're saying you're going to be able to live a lifestyle in the future at less money than you're living on today. Inflation is real, and we have to plan for the future. We have to plan to combat this risk, this inflationary risk of our dollars being worth less. Taxes will be the largest transfer of our wealth during retirement. Most will be required to take withdrawals called RMDs, required minimum distributions, from these qualified plans during retirement, if they're not already taking income or distributions from the plan. This income and any other type of income will be taxed, and it will cause a trigger on our Social Security, so our Social Security income will also be taxed at this time. This too is uncertain, but currently it's 50% of the Social Security income, or 85% depending on your income level, will be taxed. Worst of all, for any of us that have accumulated substantial wealth, there's the estate tax. This can be a real downer for our family and heirs. Your family and heirs may be forced to go through probate or hire attorneys to access any wealth you may have passed on. All right, let's talk about government spending. Only a politician could make a plan for $1 trillion sound like a good deal. $1 trillion. Now, we used to throw millions and billions around like they're nothing, but when you talk about $1 trillion, that's real money. You see, it's easy for government to spend money because it's not theirs, it's our money. And we all know it's harder for us to earn it than it is for them to spend it. And I doubt many taxpayers believe these politicians have earned their wealth through their services as a government official. So what will be the next big crisis that government solves? Climate change is knocking on our door. And the president said that white supremacy is the most lethal threat to our homeland. These concerns are among the many, but who knows when the government motto is, never let a good crisis go to waste. If COVID-19 has taught us anything, is that things happen unexpectedly, and we must be ready, and we need to be prepared. Now this will take some thinking, and possibly even convincing for your spouse or family. But you can be prepared whether or not they want you to or not. Think about Noah and the ark. You see, right now our children are being conditioned. I've already butted heads with my children, and you may even be experiencing some of these conflicts in your home. What if we focus more on family time and what really matters? At the end of the day, when we really think about it, and when I ask people what really matters, family is what often I hear. So let's start there. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, what would you want to make sure of today? Having asked that question hundreds of times, the easy answer is usually that they want their family to be taken care of. They want them to be able to live the same lifestyle that they have today. They want to ensure that the spouse doesn't have to get another job. They want to ensure that their kids can still go to college. I suspect that you have those same concerns as well. Maybe you're closer to retirement. Maybe you just want to make sure that your spouse is able to live comfortably. So what does that mean, and how can you guarantee that what you want to happen will happen? As far as I know, life insurance is the only financial tool that can guarantee that what you want to happen will happen. Now, of course, there's lots of variables to determine what you want and how much you need and all of these things. Only you can determine that, but a qualified life insurance agent should be able to help you plan and prepare for this. They'll be able to help you calculate these variables and put together a plan to meet your goals and needs. Okay, what else? After the family, what is important? Well, of course, income is important to most. They want to make sure that they have enough income to last them through mortality. So think about that. How can you ensure that you'll have the income to last you to age 100? Again, this is where sitting down with a qualified agent or advisor is very important. We have to take the time to do this now. The important thing is to take care of these things now while you can. Unfortunately, in my role, too many times people come to me too late. The family calls and asks, did the parent have life insurance? The spouse calls wanting to know what's in these plans. We have to have conversations with our family. And if you've done that, we can consider opportunities for growth. Now, as bad as it sounds, if we do have runaway inflation, shortages, and even foreclosures, that means there will be opportunities. Opportunities to help others and opportunities that we too can capitalize and increase or grow our wealth. But what if things don't get bad? Well, we'll sleep better at night knowing that we took care of these things. So I want to thank you for joining me today. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. I'll have more detailed videos coming soon. There's a lot happening and I've got a lot to cover. I just wanted to make sure that you're prepared for what's coming. So hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.